In this video, I'm going to describe a program called Yatt, that stands for Yet Another Tactics Trainer. I wrote this program for my own use, but I'm making it available for free to anyone who wants to download it from my website. The program runs under Windows. It's been tested under Windows 7, probably runs under earlier versions of Windows as well. Yatt schedules chess puzzles based on an algorithm called spaced repetition. You can find more information about this algorithm on the internet, and I'm going to describe what Yatt does in a few moments. Yatt comes with 5,500 chess puzzles. Some are easy, some are difficult. You can add puzzles to this training set if you wish, and I'll describe how you do that. You can delete puzzles from the training set. You can make up your own training sets from scratch as well. To install Yatt, go to my website, which is listed here. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll find a file called yatt.zip. You just unzip it to a folder of your choice, and then you can run it by clicking on a program called tacticstrainer.exe. If you no longer want Yatt on your computer, just delete the folder you put it in. It doesn't update the registry, and you don't have to take any other actions. My website contains a link to the user's guide for Yatt. I suggest that you look at that before you download it to see if this program is suitable for your own use. Furthermore, the user's guide contains more detail that I'm going to be able to go into in this video. When you start Yatt, this is the screen that you'll see. It's presenting you with a puzzle to solve. In this case, it's puzzle 3641. It's white to move is indicated by this white square down here. Now, Yatt doesn't tell you if white has a checkmate or if it's just going to win material, and there are a few puzzles where it's white to move and draw. So you have to figure out all that from the context of the position. Now I'm going to make the first move in this puzzle, and you do that by dragging a chess piece that you want to move. In this case, I'm going to drag the pawn up one square. Now the move I made is the same one that the engine would have made, and therefore it's part of the solution to the puzzle. The engine's move is indicated by the brown arrow. My move is indicated by this blue arrow. If you go over here to the evaluation box, you'll see what the engine thought of these two moves. They're both D7, and this is the evaluation of the position that the engine gives. This is in centipawns, or hundredths of a pawn. So this means about 13 pawns an advantage for white. Plus is an advantage for white. If this were a negative number, it would be an advantage for black. This is the actual material position. White is 4 points ahead. Yatt also gives you a score for each move and for the total game. Because this move that I made was the same that is in the solution to the puzzle, I get an A for the move. However, there are more moves in this game, and so far I'm going to get an F. If I quit the puzzle right now, I'd get an F because I haven't solved enough, or haven't played enough moves in the puzzle. It tells me that I've last seen this puzzle on 12/24, and when I did try and solve this puzzle, I got an A on it. There's also a running total for the session. In this session, I've attempted 4 puzzles, and my grade is an F. So I've looked at some puzzles before I showed you this screen and didn't do terribly well, on purpose, I might add. If you look up at the top, it shows you sort of the status of what you're doing in this session. We're running from a puzzle file called yattpuzzle.txt. Yatt wants its puzzles in a certain format, and they go into a text file. The puzzles that I've played and the total number of players in this file are shown next. I've played 4 old puzzles. An old puzzle is one that I've seen sometime before. And as far as this training set is concerned, I only have 34 puzzles that I've seen before. And in this session, I've played 4 of them. I've got in the total set 5591 puzzles that are new. These are puzzles I've never seen before, and as far as this session is concerned, I haven't played any of them yet. In this particular puzzle, I'm playing white, and my material advantage is 4. This box over here shows me all the moves in the puzzle that I've tried so far. These are the actual solution moves in the puzzle. I've made one move, and it was D7, and that is part of the solution. These arrows down here allow you to move back and forth through the puzzle once you've guessed more moves than I have. These arrows are repeated on the keyboard. You can advance the puzzle by clicking the space bar or by clicking on this arrow. We're no longer to move here, so we have to get the next move in the puzzle, which is not a move we guess. So we can click on this arrow. And here's the next move. Black moves his queen here, obviously attacking this pawn before we can queen it. There's the move, queen to D2. It's my turn to make a move. Let's suppose that I elect to queen this pawn, which is not the right move, but I'll make it anyway. And I have to promote it. Let's promote it to a queen. Now the engine says, okay, that's my move, but as far as it's concerned, the best move is to put the rook attacking the queen. Now, the move I made was not a correct move as far as the solution of the puzzle is concerned. Here are the two moves. I went D8, making a queen. The engine suggests that that's only worth about 5 pawns. Had I made the engine move, it would be worth about 10 pawns. Yatt gives me another grade for this move, an F. I got an A on the first move. The grading algorithm for Yatt I won't describe here, but is fully described in the user's guide. And so I'm going to get a D for this puzzle if I quit right now, because I got a F for the first move, an F for this move, and A for the first move. So the move just made was a white move, and so now it's up for black to move, and so we advance the puzzle, and black, the engine, goes here. And we continue playing moves in the puzzle this way until the puzzle is done. And Yatt will let you know when that happens. Now let me make one more move here to show you some options. Let's suppose that I elected to capture the rook here, which is a bad move. And I can't do that because I'm in check. So let's suppose I make a even worse move and I move my king over here. Now this is a pretty bad move. Yatt suggests that I should have taken the queen. But suppose I didn't really believe that that's the right move. Suppose I thought my move, moving the king here, was just fine. I can ask Yatt to refute the move that I wanted to make by clicking on this refute button. And I do that, and Yatt responds immediately by taking my queen. And I'm now in computer mode, not solving the puzzle, and that's indicated by the fact this button is in play computer mode, and these two boxes are lit up in red. That's the move that I've made, and these are previous moves. If I want to, I can continue to make moves at this point, asking the computer to respond. I can go back a move and look at that and make a different move if I want, assuming it was white to move, and so forth. At some point, I'm going to give up and say, yeah, okay, I understand now why my move wasn't good, and I'm going to return to the puzzle. I do that by clicking on this square here, and now I'm back ready for the next move in the puzzle. This happens to be a black move, so I advance the puzzle, and that's black's move, and now it's up to me to make another move. And in this way you continue to solve puzzles. Eventually you're going to quit this puzzle because you're going to finish it, and then you're going to ask for the next puzzle, and that you get by clicking on the next puzzle. And here it is. It's a different puzzle, 1025. Now I'm going to describe some of the parameters that you can submit to Yatt. The first one is the input file, which you pick by clicking on this button. You specify a Yatt puzzle file. This is a file in a special format. It has an extension of .txt, which is to say it's a text file. You cannot edit this by hand, however. later on we'll discuss some utilities that allow you to make Yatt files. In addition to specifying the file, if you know the number of the puzzle, you can specify that in this box. And when you click on the Load Puzzle button, Yatt will load that particular puzzle from the file that you've specified. Normally you will not specify the puzzle number, but you will let Yatt pick the next puzzle that you want to solve. There's a chess engine box here. You pick the chess engine by clicking on the Pick Engine button. The chess engine that you must use has to be a UCI engine, of which there are a handful available for free on the web. Yatt comes with one called Stockfish, which is a very good engine, probably as good an engine as you'll find for free. For the engine you specify two parameters. You specify the timeout, which is this box here. It's looking at 750 milliseconds, or about 3/4 of a second. After that time, the engine will stop and give you the best move it's discovered so far. The other parameter is the depth, which is in terms of ply, which are single moves by one side, so that 20 ply here means 10 moves by each side. These parameters that I've specified here, 750 milliseconds and 20 ply, are about right for Stockfish on my computer. These numbers do not have to be very high at all to give you pretty good results. Over here you see that we can specify the colors of the squares on the board. And in this box called Interface, you can either select a drag-drop interface, which means that you click on a square on the board and drag the piece that you've captured to the destination square. The other kind of interface for making moves is called click squares. Here you click once on the source square of the piece, and then you click again on the destination square. Whichever one you prefer, you can pick here. This parameter, when checked, will schedule the easiest puzzles first. This is the parameter for the puzzles you haven't seen before. At any given time, there are puzzles in your training set that you've looked at before. We'll call those old puzzles. And puzzles that you have yet to examine, we'll call those new puzzles. For the new puzzles, if you have any, that is to say you haven't looked at every puzzle in the training set, you can, if you wish, have them presented to you in order easiest first. This is a good way to learn if you're a beginner, or if you just want an easy time during the session. And I prefer to leave this checked. On the other hand, if you've seen all the easy puzzles you want to see, and they're too easy for you, then leave this unchecked, and the new puzzles will be presented to you in a random order. There are two other scheduling parameters. The first one is called the old puzzle percent. Again, this is only pertinent if you have some puzzles in the training set that you haven't seen before. If that's the case, you specify a percentage here, which I've set at 30%, which means that 30% of the puzzles that you see will be old puzzles during the session, and 70% will be new puzzles. When you're just starting out, you may want to set the old puzzle percent to 0 so that all you're looking at is new puzzles. But then later on, because you want to be reviewing the old puzzles as well as looking at new puzzles, this percentage will become important. And as I said, eventually you'll finish the training set. You'll have looked at all of the puzzles. There will be no more new puzzles, and then this parameter will have no effect whatsoever. The last parameter here is called age weight. This parameter only affects the order in which you see old puzzles. And it's this parameter that controls the so-called spaced repetition algorithm. It's a basic feature of Yatt that you're going to want to review old puzzles in an effective way. The spaced repetition algorithm selects an old puzzle based on two things: Has it been a long time since you have seen the puzzle? And did you have difficulty with that puzzle the last time you saw it? Puzzles you have not seen in a long time are scheduled ahead of those that you have seen recently, and those you made a mistake on or had difficulty with the last time you attempted them are scheduled ahead of those you did well on. When you set the age-weight parameter to a high number, the age of the puzzle is paramount. When you set it to a low number, the score you received last on the puzzle is paramount. So let me give you two examples. Suppose you set the age weight to 99. This means that old puzzles will be presented in reverse order by age. Puzzles of the same age will be presented in order by your score on them, so that low puzzles will be shown first within that age group. On the other hand, if you set age weight to a low number, say you set age weight to 1, then puzzles are going to be presented in order by your last score, low scores first. Within a score, then, puzzles are presented in order by age, so that puzzles you have not seen in a long while are ahead of those most recently seen. To make an effective mix of old puzzle review and failed puzzle drill, you set age weight to an intermediate number. Try a value of 50 and see how you like it. You'll see very old puzzles you did well on, as well as recent puzzles you did poorly on. As you master puzzles, you will see them less often. If you miss a puzzle, no matter how old, it will be scheduled earlier than otherwise. You can read the user's guide and find more information on these scheduling parameters. At any time, you can click on the Restore Defaults button, and all of these parameters will be set back to a default value. Now let me briefly describe some of the utilities that Yatt offers. The first thing you have to do is specify the output file. This is the puzzle file that either exists already or a new one that you're trying to create. And you build up this puzzle file in two different ways. First, you can pick an input file. Now, if this input file is in what they call PGN format, which is a file of chess games in a particular format called Portable Game Notation, PGN. That kind of a file has to have an extension of PGN, and it can contain one or many different chess games. Now, in this file, these can't be games that start out from the typical starting position of any chess game, but rather they have to start from a puzzle position. So you can find files like this on the internet, and you can download them, and then you can load them into this utility, and they will convert them into Yatt format and add puzzles either to an existing training set or to make a new training set for you. Now, when you do that, if that's what you're doing, if you're selecting a PGN file and adding it to a Yatt file or creating a new Yatt file, you have the option of checking this box or not. Checking this box means that Yatt will try and calculate the difficulty of the puzzle. As I mentioned before, there's a parameter that says you want to see new puzzles in order easiest first. Well, what does easy mean? Easy means Yatt has graded the puzzle for you, and it's done that by you're checking this box. This can take a while, so if you're not interested in the difficulty of the puzzle, as far as scheduling the easiest ones first, then you can just uncheck this box. Once you've picked the output file, pick the input file, check this box or not, you can click on Make Puzzles, and it will deliver a conversion of the PGN format into the Yatt format for you. Another alternative is if you just want to combine two training sets. Maybe you've made up your own training set and you'd like to add it to the training set that comes with Yatt. In that case, the input file that you'd pick would be a .txt file. That is a file in Yatt format. And if you pick an output file in Yatt format, an input file in Yatt format, click on Make Puzzles, it will copy all of the input puzzles to the output file. Whenever Yatt adds a puzzle to a file, it makes sure that it's not a duplicate. So your resulting output file will never have any duplicate puzzles. That's very convenient because oftentimes when you download puzzles from the internet, you have no idea whether they're already in your training set or not, and this will make sure that you're not getting puzzles that you've already put in the training set. The other thing you can do is you can add a puzzle if you happen to know the FEN. FEN is a particular format for specifying a chess position. And quite often on the internet you'll find puzzles that are presented to you, and they sometimes have the FEN underneath them. You can copy that FEN, you highlight it and click on Control-C, and that puts it on the clipboard. Once it's on the clipboard, you can go into Yatt, go to the Utilities page, pick your output file, and then click on FEN from Clipboard. When you click on FEN from Clipboard, it looks at the position, converts it into a Yatt puzzle, and puts it on the file you asked. Again, you can calculate the difficulty or not by checking this box. The only reason why you wouldn't want to check this box is because the engine has to be invoked in order to calculate the difficulty of the puzzle, and if you've got a lot of puzzles you're converting and you really don't care, this can save you some time. On the other hand, there's no reason why you can't just walk away from the computer and let it take a half an hour or 45 minutes or whatever it might take to process your puzzles. In my particular case, the way I did this, it was taking about roughly a half an hour to convert 1,000 puzzles. So it's not too bad. Now, this other box is not concerned with making new puzzles, but looks at existing puzzles. Again, you're going to pick the Yatt file that you picked through here. This file is ignored for this box down here. And what this will do is if you check this box, it will recalculate, or just calculate in the first place, any missing difficulties that you have, in case you've changed your mind now and you say, well, look, for any puzzle that doesn't have a difficulty, go ahead and calculate it for me. The other thing that's probably more important is this box called Reset History. If you are tired of looking at puzzles and tired of seeing puzzles you've had difficulty with and just want to pretend like you've never played with Yatt before, check that box, click on Start, and it will reset all of the history of all of the puzzles in whatever training set you've picked up here. The remaining page in Yatt is this help page. This tells you what version you're running. It's good to check this version against my website. From time to time I'll issue a new version, and you'll be able to tell whether there's a version that's newer than yours by looking up here. There's going to be documentation here. If you click on any of these buttons, it will show you the user's guide. This button will take you to my website where it will show you what the latest version is, and so you can download it if you wish. And the video that I'm recording, you'll be able to rewatch if you click this button. Also shown are all the keyboard shortcuts available in Yatt. So that concludes my presentation. You can find out more information by reading the user's guide. I hope you have fun with this program. If you have any difficulty, if you have suggestions on how to improve it, particularly if you find bugs, please email me. My email address is on the website I referred to. Have fun with Yatt. Thank you for your attention.